This is Think Smart with TMFG, the weekly podcast of what's newsworthy and relevant to everyday Canadians. I'm your host, Senior Financial Advisor Mike Connon of CI Asante Wealth Management. Welcome to Think Smart with TMFG. I'm Mike Connon. This is Carlo Cancino, Senior Financial Advisor with CI Asante Wealth Management. You know, we keep on having a lot about AI.
Yes.
You know, AI isn't coming, it's already here.
Right.
In the Canadian workplaces, the real question is whether it's going to be replacing jobs or quietly changing how work gets done. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, you know what? Headlines typically focus on job losses. Reality is more detailed than that. Some roles are disappearing, but some are transforming, and some are becoming a little more human.
It's funny. We went to a conference earlier this year,
Yeah.
a dimensional conference,
Yep.
and the focus on this was about AI because it's the focus of everything right now.
Yeah.
It's hard to avoid it. And it was interesting. One of the biggest things, they had one of the professors in there. I would think it might be from Stanford.
I recall. He was from Stanford.
From Stanford. And he was talking about jobs and history behind it. And what I thought was very interesting was he went back into the 1800s. And I'm just coming up with close proximities of numbers here.
Right.
But approximately 90% of jobs at that time were farm or agricultural jobs.
Right.
And when you look at farm jobs right now, it's about 2% of jobs are farmers.
Mhm.
Now, when you tell people back in the 1850s that their great-great-grandson is not going to be working on a farm,
Right.
he's going to be sitting something we call a computer screen, which they couldn't even imagine existed, and doing data and talking to people across the world. That's what his career is going to be, rather than going and harvesting hay. It would have been a very difficult conversation to have.
Mhm.
But along the way, the world has changed, and there are still people working and jobs, and the farming industry has come so far. They were actually, I couldn't even give you the numbers, but whenever they looked at what they're getting out of different parts of farming, the increase in I guess what they're actually able to get out of different areas was so large. From milk from cows, it was literally 10 times the milk they were getting back 50 years ago from cows.
Yep.
From acreage, on how much yield they get per acreage of different crops, it's literally 10 times what they got before. So, of course, there's been all these different parts of, let's say, technology that's got involved in there.
Mhm.
Obviously, when they were back in the 1800s, they were farmer with plows and
Right.
horses,
Manual.
everything.
Yeah.
And the mention of, diesel and tractors as they came along, that brought agricultural along 10 times. But I'm sure there's a bunch of people going, oh, I'm going to lose my job because there's a tractor.
Well, that's it. I think that's the biggest question that people have is, I'm in this role. Will AI, the advancements of AI, is my role in jeopardy? And I think that's what we want to talk about today. And a lot of the roles that I think would be at higher risk would be the ones that have more repetitive things, things that involved a lot of routine. So, going back to the 1800s, there's a lot of routine and repetition in farming, whether it be vegetables or different crops.
And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. When you had to farm things with horses, was it terrible when we had tractors that could do 10 times as much?
Exactly.
Or did it feed more people? And that's where we're in a situation now, There used to be a lot of stresses around that aren't there now because we can produce great crops.
Mhm.
Beyond that, then there becomes, I know people don't like the genetic engineering in foods, but it's been there for the last 50 years. And now when you get tomatoes, they're a lot bigger than the tomatoes they used to grow.
Right.
So they learn to go and feed more people with an equal amount of land using technology.
And I think, yes, with AI, I think what we're seeing is that it's not necessarily eliminating jobs. It's making certain roles a little bit better and better for the greater good. Now, if we were to think about today, what are the type of industries or what type of roles do you think would be at high risk to automation? For me, I think things, again, like office support or sales and service and manual and production roles. I think those are the ones that would be at high risk.
When I find things that I worry about, right now, I think about things like the legal area.
Yep.
That's something AI can be very strong at because a lot of different parts of legal is case law.
Yep.
And it's pretty hard for a person to research case law as well as AI is.
Right.
And I've seen some comparisons where they've, and again, these are rough numbers, but when you ask a question to AI or if you give it an IQ test, and you have it go through. Initially, it's about a 135, and the second time through, it's above 160 of an IQ.
Oh, God, okay.
And they've actually had AI went in that can easily pass the bar exam. So some areas where AI can really go and take off.
For
But
sure.
it doesn't mean you still have a need for lawyers, because there's still going to be the good lawyers that are actually doing stuff are still going to be needed out there, because they're going to know how judges are going to react. They're going to know how juries are going to react. They're going to know how to work through case law and come up with new points. But a lot of the stuff that was more administrative in the past may start to be eliminated.
Well, I think what we're going to see is the roles that AI is now infiltrating. I think the most successful people will be the ones that can use the technology, use the automation to provide better service. And they use it in conjunction with what they're doing, because the human element will always be a part, I think, and an important part of these different roles, whether it be in the law profession or in the medical profession. I think about physicians and nurse practitioners who, were bogged down with, taking notes about patients. Now with, AI scribes, they can take the notes, they can organize all that. And what does that do? That frees up time for medical professionals to spend more time with patients.
Yeah. And into a subject here, I don't think that we're immune to this either.
No,
In our
100%.
industry. I mean, our industry, all the stuff that used to be mindless work, when you used to just go and create a portfolio of mutual funds or whatever it was and put together just a bunch of random stocks. And if that's what you're doing as an advisor for people, AI can replace you pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And you have to be cognitive of this, because when you're running your business, you have to make sure you're providing value beyond what AI can provide. So I think it's a good thing, because good people will float to the top and provide service beyond what AI can produce.
Absolutely. When I look at the companies like Wealthsimple or the other financial technology companies, they could be very efficient in creating a portfolio, but it's that human element that I talked about, with working with an individual who can help manage the behavior of being invested in a portfolio that AI just can't do.
It can't do that. It has troubled life circumstances.
Right.
Everyone thinks their life is going to be a smooth road all the way from you're born and then you live till you die. There's a lot of bumps along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And AI is not going to have gone through those bumps itself. So that's where you can really provide, counsel along the way for your clients. So what does AI entail? What's involved in AI?
Well, when I think about it, there's software involved, there's algorithms and different systems, and all of those things together, they perform tasks that, were typically done by people.
Yep.
And so, I mean, when you think about roles like whether you're scheduling or logistics companies, you can use those types of AI innovations to really minimize the human effort involved.
Yeah, I mean, logistics is a huge thing, and particularly because logistics has become such a big part with Amazon and how we now shop, right?
Right.
Logistics is key. Inventories, logistics, and AI is not necessarily a new thing.
Right.
I think what's really happened is AI has advanced. Voice recognition has come to the point where you can use ChatGPT on your phone and it does everything. But I was reading many years ago about Walmart's inventory system.
Okay.
And Walmart's inventory has been using AI for decades now.
Okay.
And what they would do is, it's a different form of it, but they would get weather forecasts across the nations, and they would have things shipped out to match the weather forecast ahead of time.
Okay.
So if it's going to rain in Texas, they're going to have the umbrellas a week in advance being sent down to Texas, because there's going to be demand for there. Now that's advancements in inventory systems that have put companies like Walmart above its competition and made it very profitable.
Right.
But again, AI has got so much more powerful in such a quick time. It's going well beyond that. And it used to be in the hands of a company like Walmart that can afford to pay for that type of structure. And now AI is becoming available to much smaller companies with less funds available.
Right. And I think that's what we were talking about earlier. You have these companies that are adopting AI, adopting the efficiencies that they can provide. You still need individuals working in those warehouses. You still need people, although you're seeing a lot of self-checkouts, you still see the people at the checkouts. The human element along with the AI advancements are keeping, as Walmart as an example, very successful.
Yeah. We read some stats, and in Canada, they said 10% of Canadian workers are in jobs that are high risk of automation. Another 30% are in moderate risk. And again, so it is definitely a case for what's going to happen. But as we heard from that one professor we spoke with, the idea, if AI replaces jobs and those people don't do anything, it's not a good thing. But if
Right.
AI replaces jobs and people find other productive things to do with that time and
Yeah.
continue to expand what we're actually offering as a society, it is a good thing.
Right.
And so you can't look at being protective against every new innovation that comes up. If
Right.
you go back in time, we wouldn't use computers. That's going to take jobs.
Right.
Everything that makes things easier is going to take
Mhm.
a job.
Mhm.
And when the tractor came around, that took a job,
Right.
right? So every time that goes on, it does create less jobs. But the world has always moved in a way where the world has filled those roles with more productive roles going forward.
Right. We were talking about, risky roles and what people should be, the types of roles that would be at risk of AI. And we were doing some research, and it was determined that, education and age are a factor as well. And when we dove a little bit deeper, we found that, workers without a post-secondary education, or maybe workers who are above 55, or, between the ages of 18 and 24, those were the people that were likely at risk. And when I think about that, it's those people that may be in roles that were the more repetitive or had the more routine. So those are the types of things that, those are the people that may be a little bit more concerned about AI.
Well, have you ever watched an old film of the Ford assembly line back in the 1920s? They show the cars coming through,
Right.
and Ford was famous for modernizing the whole system of making cars because it was all an assembly line.
Right.
And what happened was cars would roll by and they have all the workers and they'd put the wheels on and they could make a car it was incredible the time they could make a car with. They just come in and come out the end finished. And that was that assembly line procedure. Now, if you look at car manufacturing and see what it looks like, there's a lot of robots.
Right.
You see the same assembly line, the car is rolling through, but there's robots doing everything, robotic arms doing everything along the way. So there's a lot less workers and a lot more robots involved in producing a car. But the reality is, I drive cars now. Cars are, we're both getting older.
Yep.
We've driven the old cars where you used to have to go. I remember having to go and feather the gas as you're
Right.
going through something because your car is going to stall. Every time it was cold in the morning, you'd sit and you hope your car would start.
Right.
Cars now are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get up. I never even think about my car not starting. It's 20, 30 below for the last few days. I don't go out and think my car's not going to start. They always start.
Yeah. 100%.
So along with this type of robotic engineering that has come along, the quality of, let's say, the tolerances they do in cars, everything they do in cars is much better than it was 30 years ago. So again, it does offer advancements.
Yep. Mike, now we have talked about how we shouldn't be afraid of AI. We shouldn't hear it, and as workers shouldn't think that they're going to eliminate our jobs. As long as we are finding ways to add value alongside AI, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's either you versus AI,
right,
or you working with AI.
Right.
And you versus AI does not result in a very good finish, right?
Yeah.
So people who resist that are going to have a lot of problems.
I think so.
The trick is embracing AI and see where this can make whatever service we're providing much superior to what we're doing before.
I agree.
And if people use AI like that, they're going to continue to have jobs that are going to get to be better jobs.
Yes.
And they're going to increase their productivity and the value that they provide to the world as long as they can continue to use AI to increase that.
Absolutely. I want to remind our listeners out there, if you want help thinking through how the changes in your work affect your career, how the stability of your income, or maybe long-term planning, check the show notes to book a conversation with us.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of another episode of Think Smart with TMFG. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Think Smart podcast. I'm Mike Connon with the McClellan Financial Group of CI Asante Wealth Management. Don't forget to subscribe to Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube, and leave us a review. For more insights and resources, visit tmfg.ca or follow the link in the episode description.
This program was prepared by Michael Connon, who is a senior financial advisor with CI Asante Wealth Management Limited. This is not an official program of CI Asante Wealth Management Limited, and the statements and opinions expressed during this podcast are not necessarily those of CI Asante Wealth Management Limited. CI Asante Wealth Management Limited is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund and the Canadian Investment Regulatory Organization. This show is intended for general information only and may not apply to all listeners or investors. Please obtain professional financial advice or contact me at 905-771-5200 or visit tmfg.ca to discuss your circumstances prior to acting on the information presented.